What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Locked On Pirates podcast. I am, of course, your host who does the most, Ethan Smith. Hope you all are having a phenomenal Tuesday, as I usually try to do, and I'm having a phenomenal Tuesday. But on today's episode, the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Detroit Tigers hit each other again with another two-game series, this time in the friendly confines of PNC Park. Of course, we're going to talk about that with a little series preview about this little two-game series, as well as talking about the decision the Pirates have to make regarding veteran pitcher Jose Quintana, who is on the mound tonight for the Buccos against the Tigers, and one first-round pick's departure leading to another first-round pick's entrance, and why that is so important for what the Pirates are trying to build here in the next coming years. With that said, make sure you make Locked On Pirates your first listen of the day every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Follow me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan, or you could follow this podcast on Twitter at Locked On Pirates. And with all that said, guys, you know when the music hits, it's time to get real. So let's have a fun episode.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to that podcast, the Locked On Pirates podcast, where I am your host, Ethan Smith, who does the most, who brings you the optimism about the Pittsburgh Pirates that you need every single day, Monday through Friday, here on the Locked On Podcast Sports Network. And of course, it is Tuesday, June 7th, I believe. I keep losing track of my days. Yep, June 7th. And it's a fun time. The Pittsburgh Pirates, right now, winners of 4 of their last 5, have won their last 2 series against the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, link up against the Detroit Tigers, who have a worse record than the Pittsburgh Pirates, in PNC Park tonight and tomorrow. And boy, this series has some potential. I'm not going to lie. This series has some potential to be very fun. Of course, the last time that these two teams met was back at the beginning of May. Of course, the Tigers got the best of the Pirates in that doubleheader of a series, which saw the Tigers win 3-2 in Game 1. Bryce Wilson picked up the loss in that one. Dylan Peters, of course, was the starter. Bryce Wilson coming into relief. And then in the second game, the Pirates won 7-2 behind the arm of Zach Thompson, and who had a great game. But Jose Quintana, who we're going to talk about a lot on today's episode, had a 5 innings pitch, 4 hit, 2 earned run game in that one. At that point, his ERA was a 3.38. So definitely has improved since then, but the Pirates and the Tigers will look to see if one of the two can cement themselves or if they will split their season set this year. And tonight's pitching matchup is very, very good. Tarik Skubal, who had a phenomenal month of May, will be pitching for the Detroit Tigers. 4-2, 2.15 ERA, a .95 WHIP, over 58 2/3 innings pitched. These two are very, very similar in the likes that their ERAs are both below a 2.35 as Quintana sits at a 2.32. Their whips are very similar as well. Hits allowed very similar, but Skubal definitely has the advantage in terms of the strikeout ball. So that's one thing I'm definitely looking for the Pirates to attack early against Tarik Skubal and make this a game where he has to pitch it to contact. Because if he starts getting strikeouts on you, man, it's going to get real interesting. And when I mean if he starts getting strikeouts on you, again, a .95 whip, which is 11th in all of baseball right now. And then you look at some other things as well. I mean, in his last couple of starts, both against divisional foes in Cleveland and Minnesota, he pitched 7 innings in both of those games, only allowed 7 hits and 3 earned runs across those 14 innings, and had 11 strikeouts. So that's what I'm looking for the Pirates to do tonight against Skubal. They really need to go ahead and get after him, but I am expecting this to be a very low-scoring ball game, mainly because these two guys have done very well. The players against them have also not done that great either. Tucker Barnhart for the Detroit Tigers has the best average against Quintana at a 4.29. That's only in 7 appearances. Cabrera's hitting 327 against them in lifetime, so that's a little worrisome. But Jonathan Scope and a bunch of the other guys have not seen him too much. Now, against Skubal, only 3 guys have seen him in the lineup for the Pirates tonight, and that's Ke'Bryan Hayes, Brian Reynolds, and Yu Chang. Combined, they are 3 for 12 against Skubal, so we'll see how that goes. I'm definitely expecting a interesting series here between these two teams because of the fact that the Tigers at some point, I think, with the talent on their roster, have to come around. Now, you don't want it to happen to the Pirates, who, again, as I said, are winners of 8 of their last 12, 4 of their last 5. Detroit coming into the series losing 2 of their last 5, I believe, or winning 2 of their last 5 on a 3-game losing streak after being manhandled pretty much by the New York Yankees at New York. So we'll see what the Pirates can do tonight. Of course, Detroit is favored in this game on BetOnline at a -20, 120. And then tomorrow, Pittsburgh is actually favored in that matchup, as it'll be Alex Fado facing off against Mitch Keller. That one tomorrow, I believe, has a lot more of a more runs feel than tonight's game does. And I'm expecting a big series from a lot of different guys here for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Of course, another guy we'll talk about later in Travis Swaggerty is making his debut tonight, batting in the 9-hole. But Brian Reynolds, who still batting .220 on the year, I'm very excited to see how he continues to progress here, because over the last 7 days, I mean, 21 at-bats, 6 hits, 1 home run, 3 RBIs. He's done very good so far, I think, for the most part, to begin this year. You look over the last couple of games, he has a hit in 4 of his last 5, 2 of those being multi-hit games, with the Arizona Diamondbacks game and the Dodgers game. So Brian Reynolds coming around, but I'm expecting a big series from him. I'm expecting a big series from Michael Chavis, Ke'Bryan Hayes, but I'm very excited to see what Swaggerty is going to do. And we'll get into Swaggerty a lot more later as we talk about Cole Tucker's departure and Travis Swaggerty's entrance into this team. The rest of the lineup card: Ke'Bryan Hayes, Brian Reynolds, Jack Suwinski, who has been on an absolute tear as of late, still leading all NL rookies in home runs, Michael Chavis, Diego Castillo, Cal Mitchell, Yu Chang, Tyler Heineman, and Travis Swaggerty is what the Pirates are lining up with tonight, while the Detroit Tigers have Willie Castro, Jonathan Scope, Miguel Cabrera, Javier Baez, Austin Meadows, Spencer Torkelson, I believe that's Daz Cameron. Yes, Daz Cameron, Tucker Barnhart, and Harold Castro. So that is the lineup cards for Skubal versus Quintana. 2 lefties are going to battle it out. And if you have to ask for my prediction, I think the Pirates are going to get the best of Skubal here. I think Quintana pitches 5 or 6 quality innings. I think this game is low scoring. I think the Pirates are made for these low scoring kind of games, as they have the 2nd best ERA among all their pitchers, only behind the New York Yankees. Since I believe it was like May 24th or something like that. It was very recent. But still a welcome sign for Pirates fans that this pitching staff is coming along the way it is. And I'm very excited to see what the Pirates continue to do here. And if they can pitch well, I think that continues tonight with Quintana. And I'm picking the Pirates to win outright 3-2. I want to know your predictions, of course, at Locked On Pirates on Twitter or at MVP_Ethan. And make sure you use betonline.ag to do all that. But like the Tigers, who are trying to fix their roster, maybe it's time to figure out what pieces of the puzzle need to be put back together. The Pirates are figuring that out a little bit, and maybe they used Rock Auto along the way. This episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. So save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30 to even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and they have everything you could need with reliably low prices for every customer, from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution for your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On and their How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. That is rockauto.com. And as I told you guys earlier in the intro, we're going to get into Jose Quintana today. this is a pressing thing that I've been kind of thinking about for a while in terms of Jose Quintana, who, a lot like Tyler Anderson last year, has kind of revitalized his career in Pittsburgh. Of course, not a young guy by any means, 33 years old, left-handed pitcher. But right now, 2.32 ERA, as I mentioned earlier, a 1.23 whip. You look at his game log, and Gary made a good point yesterday about these pitchers. You got to start looking at the whole sample size rather than looking at just individual games. But for Quintana, I want to do that for a second to kind of drive my point that I'm going to make here shortly. In the month of May, Quintana was very good. 27 innings pitched, a 1.33 ERA, by the way. Very, very solid. 21 strikeouts, 9 walks, no home runs allowed, and he only allowed 4 runs the entire month of May and only had 1 start where he did not finish at least 5 innings of work. Why is that important? You're probably wondering, and why did I bring that up? Well, that was the month of May. We then go to the month of April, where he had a 3.32 ERA, 19 innings pitched in that month, 7 earned runs, 17 Ks, and 2 home runs allowed. Still good. A 3.38 plays on this baseball team. In that month, no games where he pitched less than 4 innings as he's ramping up. Jose Quintana, for lack of a better word, is an innings eater. That is what he is. But he's doing it very well. So the decision that I'm getting at here is the decision, do you trade Quintana or do you keep Quintana? Now, we're going to start with keeping Quintana because I think that simplifies things a little bit more than what I'll get into later or here in a second about trading Quintana. So if you keep Jose Quintana, who right now is on a 1-year deal, you are essentially keeping a veteran arm in the rotation. Now, I brought up the fact that this rotation is going to be phenomenal, I think, in the coming years with guys like Quinn Priester on the horizon, Carmen Mlodzinski, Michael Burrows, Tanaj Thomas, the likes of JT Brubaker, Zach Thompson, Mitch Keller also improving. And then you look at the bullpen even right now, it's being used a lot. We talked about bullpen usage on yesterday's episode, so make sure you go check that out on any of your streaming platforms that you find your podcast on. But the thing is with Quintana, he eats innings. He's doing it very well. Now, he's not a world beater, I'll say that. He's allowing pretty decent contact against the Dodgers in his last start, 4 1/3, 7 hits, 3 Ks, 2 earned runs. Not something to write home about. He didn't implode, which is something we've seen from a lot of these younger pitchers, but that's the one thing he hasn't done yet. He hasn't had that game where he really gives up a lot, except that game against St. Louis where he gave up 7 hits and 5 runs. Of course, only 2 of those earned. But in all of his starts, the most earned runs he gave up was 3, and that was against the Nationals in his second start of the year. He's not given up more than 3 earned runs in a start. That is insane. I mean, you look at it under the microscope that Quintana is a veteran pitcher. There is always a market for veteran pitching. Never hasn't been. You look at teams like the Mets, the Angels, who are trying to turn things around after firing Joe Maddon. You look at a lot of that stuff, and you're going to say Quintana has a market, but what are you getting for Quintana, I think, is the biggest question there, which is then where you move into the idea of trading him, which I believe Gary made the very good point of saying you want to keep this prospect thing rolling. It's like what's a good analogy? You guys have slid down a hill before, right? In the snow. You want to keep that trajectory going. You don't want to slide down, obviously, but it's like a wheel rolling, like the tires on your car with Rock Auto. If you need them fixed, you want them running, and you don't want anything to impede on your wheels running, right? So you don't want to say, okay, well, let's bring Quintana back for a year, block a prospect like a Quinn Priester or a Michael Burrows or something like that, and then you're kind of stuck in this situation like this Yoshi Tsutsugo situation, for example, where Quintana is getting paid $4 or $5 million for 1 year, and you don't really want to get rid of that, but you also need to get rid of it, like they do with Yoshi Tsutsugo. You don't want to run into that issue. So trading him, I can't tell you what his value is. I'm just going to be honest. It's always so hard to figure that kind of thing out. I mean, last year, look at Adam Frazier. Everybody thought that he might garner a top 100 prospect last year. They end up getting Tucupita Marcano, Sawinski, and Michelle Milano from the San Diego Padres. And at the end of the day, Sawinski and Marcano have done decent at the MLB level. Marcano much better at the AAA level than he has done at the MLB level. But you look at that kind of stuff and you're saying, okay, what are the Pirates realistically going to be able to get for Quintana? You don't really know that yet. One, because you don't know who's going to be in the market for that. You can make inferences, obviously. Like you can make an inference that the Mets are going to be in for a pitcher. But you also have to look at the idea that there's going to be guys, especially with an owner like Cohen, there's going to be guys around the league that are going to want out of their situations. Luis Castillo in division makes a lot of sense. If the Cubs are out of contention by then, which I fully expect them to be with the trajectory that they're on, Kyle Hendricks is another guy I think that you could look into trading. Marcus Stroman could even be a guy that teams could look into. And then you go out to Oakland, where that's going to be a fire sale, I think, come trade deadline time. Frankie Montas is still there, still performing well for the most part. And then there's always a plethora of these options. Like I'm sure the Royals will have some guys that are probably going to be there. The Nationals maybe make a move to trade a guy. The Reds, like I mentioned with Castillo, maybe make a move to trade some of their pitchers. So there's going to be a market, and there's going to be a big market. So when you look at Quintana in the year he's having, yes, having a phenomenal year. Tyler Anderson had a phenomenal year last year too for the Mariners. He helped the Mariners get into playoff contention. They still didn't get there. He still wasn't that kind of big ace that they needed. So I think Quintana in the trade market would more than likely be that back end of the rotation guy that you need to eat some innings for your better guys, like say for the Mets, Scherzer and DeGrom come back healthy, right? In a perfect world for Mets fans, that happens. For Ryan Finkelstein, honestly, I hope it happens because I'm not the biggest Mets hater around the world. I don't hate the Mets. I would like to see them do well. But in a perfect world, say Tyler McGill, DeGrom and Scherzer all come back healthy, and then you have other guys in the rotation as well who are cementing themselves, and then you put Quintana in there as like a fifth or a sixth guy. That helps get DeGrom and Scherzer back to health. That helps the Mets make a playoff push. That helps them make an NL East push. And then you're talking about the Mets contending. I'm just saying Jose Quintana to the Mets. I'm just saying, man. I'm just throwing it out there. I think it's destiny. I think it's something that could happen, but I'd also watch out for the Angels. I know the Yankees have a really good staff right now that they probably won't want to mess with, but why not add another good pitcher to that staff? The staff that's the only staff better than the Pirates over the last 2 weeks. I love to throw that stuff in there. You guys know I love to jab at the Yankees. Stacey Gotsulias over at Locked On Yankees absolutely loves when I do that because I have fun. But we'll see what the Pirates decide to do. And honestly, keeping them versus trading them, I see the positives of both. I see the negatives of both, but we will just have to wait and see what the Pirates do come trade deadline time, which is not too far away. And with the draft, the All-Star game, all that stuff coming up over the next couple of months, I'm going to need a lot of energy. I really am. So will you guys. You're going to need a lot of energy to keep up with these trade rumors and run around for the summer with July 4th coming up, with a bunch of different things coming up this summer. Make sure that you always have a Built Bar. Built Bar, of course, is the best tasting protein bar on planet Earth and the entire galaxy. Don't you love a chewy chocolate brownie? What about a caramel brownie with caramel swirled on top? So amazing. What if I told you that you can have all that chewy chocolatey deliciousness plus 17 grams of protein? You're in luck because caramel brownie bars are available at Built.com right now. And you got to act fast because they are a fan favorite of mine and a bunch of other people and hosts at the Locked On Podcast Network. Forget about dessert. These are better than dessert. Plus, the macros are unreal. 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 4 grams of sugar. I would replace a regular brownie with Built's Caramel Brownie Bar in a heartbeat. The best part, caramel brownie bars are covered in 100% real chocolate. For real, 100% real chocolate. With Built, you don't have to sacrifice tasty for healthy. You can have both. And all of Built bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. There are a million reasons that you should try Built bars, but for now, let's just say the caramel brownie will rock your world, and that's not an understatement. With Built, tasty is the new healthy. Go to Built.com and get your box of caramel brownie bars now. So go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off of your order when you invest in the best protein bars on planet Earth. So as mentioned before in the lineup card, Travis Swaggerty, friend of the Locked On Pirates podcast, I may add. He has been on here multiple times to talk about a lot of different things. We had him back in the beginning of 2021, and then we had him earlier this year during the MLB lockout. Swaggerty, who in 2019 was at Bradenton, did not get to play 2020, did not get to play much in 2021 last year in Indianapolis, finally got a chance to play a lot more in Indy this year. 150 plate appearances, a 280, 362, 439 slashing with an 802 OPS. We'll see. I'm a fan of Travis Swaggerty. He is entering the lineup for the first time today. He will be making his MLB debut in center field at PNC Park. And like he said on this podcast, he wants to move on up that lineup card. He wants to move on up a lot of different things. And he wants to have Gold Club caliber defense with guys like Ben Gamble and Jake Marisnick out there beforehand. You better make sure you do it, my man. But with his entrance came the exit of Cole Tucker. Cole Tucker, of course, going back home to Arizona, where he is in AAA Reno for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who also just acquired Dallas Keuchel on a minor league deal. So that'll be kind of cool to see Dallas Keuchel and Cole Tucker play together to compete for best beard and best hair. But this raises a question about first-round picks. Now, Cole Tucker and Travis Swaggerty were first-round picks of the old regime. I want to make that aware now. Kevin Newman was a first-round pick of the old regime. Ke'Bryan Hayes was too. So you can get by the names I mentioned. Hayes, Tucker, Newman, Swaggerty. Hayes is pretty much at this point a known commodity. You kind of know what you're getting from Hayes. He's still progressing offensively, but defensively, 10 runs saved, leading all third basemen in baseball. You know what you're getting from Ke'Bryan Hayes. Cole Tucker, highly touted, never amounted to anything here in Pittsburgh. He had his moments. Decent defender every once in a while. Versatile defender, definitely. Just never panned out. Kevin Newman. He's been a starter at shortstop for some time now. Had a great spring training last year. Had a pretty decent 2019. Like everyone else in the Pirates organization, had a terrible 2020 and has been injured this year. Up and down, good defensive player, Gold Glove finalist last year. Good player for the most part. Decent player, actually. I won't say good. Decent player. Then you have Travis Swaggerty, who at the moment is an unknown commodity. He's an aging prospect. I will say that. He's still a prospect. He's still a rookie. He's already 24. 2018 first-round pick. Again, 10th overall in that draft. So Travis Swaggerty is coming into Pittsburgh as a former top 10 pick from the old regime. One thing I'd have to say that I probably know about old regimes versus new regimes, the new regime probably does not view Travis Swaggerty in the same light as Neil Huntington did. It probably isn't very likely that they do. So, is there a reason why the hype around Travis Swaggerty is no longer there? I don't know. But I think there should be a ton of hype about this. Because 4 years removed from being drafted 10th overall, after playing 121 games in Bradenton in 2019, playing 36 games in West Virginia in 2018, well, 52 games, sorry, and then 12 games in 2021 before getting injured, 35 this year. So he's only played 220 minor league games, 951 at-bats, only 198 at-bats at the AAA level, may I add. It's going to be interesting. And I think this is just one of those situations, and I don't want to say it like this, but I think this is a situation where his stature gets him this call-up. Now, he's played very well. He's played really well. That's what's getting him this call-up, is his play recently. Is it worrisome about his injury history? Of course it is. It's always worrisome when a player gets injured. Is it his fault? Hell no. No, it's not his fault. You can't control getting injured. But what can Travis Swaggerty do to bring that hype back? Things that Jack Sawinski has done, using the power element. Swaggerty, I'll be honest, not the biggest power guy. The most home runs he has as a minor leaguer in a season, 9. That's 2019. 2022 so far this year, he has 4 and 22 RBIs. He's a contact hitter. So bring that contact element into the team, because it's already a good team in that sense that they are very good with contact, and just play ball, man. That's all I can say. And with the exit of Cole Tucker, it's a very, very clear reminder that just because a guy is a first-round pick does not immediately make him a star player. Henry Davis, for all intents and purposes, I think is the best prospect in the system, or at least up there. Obviously the charts show it, but that doesn't mean that Henry Davis is going to be Buster Posey. That doesn't mean that Henry Davis is going to be Mitch Garver or JT Real Muto in his Miami days. That doesn't mean that right off the rip, just because he's the number 1 overall pick. 26 teams passed on Mike Trout. Did everybody expect Mike Trout right out the gate to be that way? No. Eventually, as his way through the system, he did, yeah, but just because a guy is a first-round pick does not mean that they are immediately good. So, Locked On Pirates fans, when you are watching Swaggerty play tonight, temper your expectations. He's going to struggle a little bit. We've seen Sawinski struggle. We've seen Cal Mitchell struggle. Castillo, Castro, Marcano. List goes on of guys we've seen struggle this year. But if they're good, they'll come out of it. The best hitter in baseball, Mike Trout, right now is on a 21 at-bat streak of no hit and nothing. He's 0 for 21 in his last 21 at-bats. Still has an OPS over 900. It happens to everybody. So with Swaggerty, let's hope he doesn't have the same fate as Cole Tucker, and give him your best luck tonight. I think he's going to do well. Batting in the 9-hole tonight, wearing number 50 for the Pirates in center field. Swaggerty is a big leaguer for the first time in his career. I would say young career, but he is getting up there, so we'll see how Swaggerty pans out tonight. With that said, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Locked On Pirates podcast, as you always do, here Monday through Friday on the Locked On Podcast Network. And with that said, thank you for making me your first listen of the day on all of your podcast platforms. But also make sure you go check out Locked On MLB, where Paul Francis Sullivan, but please call him Sully, has everything you need to know regarding the major leagues every single day, both past and present. Tomorrow, we will be recapping the Detroit Tigers series, as well as previewing the next series starting on Thursday, I believe, against the St. Louis Cardinals. If I remind myself, I am losing track of scheduling. It's okay. We'll just... Oh, the Atlanta Braves. Oh, yeah, because I was supposed to go to that series. Anyways, We will preview that series, that 4-game set in Atlanta at Truist Park against last year's World Series champions, as well as recapping the Detroit series and bringing you all the news, opinions, and minor league, major league news that you need here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am Ethan Smith. I am your Pirates host who does the most, who has the most optimism that you can find. And with that said, guys, I will see you on the flip side.